Welcome to Fender Play Live. I'm Eugene Edwards coming to you live from Hollywood, and today we're diving into the wide world of R&B on guitar. Now we've got an amazing guest today, and he's going to be breaking down some concepts. He's going to play a little bit for us, so you're in for a great treat. And of course, it's an incredibly huge genre of music, so we're going to do our best. It's just a crash course. It's an introduction. Make sure to check out Fender Play after the show, because we just launched an entirely new learning path dedicated to R&B and Soul. So we'll show you all that you need to know. How do we get all this information or all this music into like a 30-minute show? We jam! All right. Now, speaking of our guest, though, I'm thrilled to welcome a tremendous talent and a Grammy winner, the one and only Curt Chambers. Curt, say hello, sir.
Hey, what's up, everybody? How are you? Glad to be here.
We're so glad to finally get you on this show. And you're coming to us from Nashville, correct?
I'm in Nashville at the moment. Yes, sir.
It's a couple hours later there. Glad to get you on a nice chilly evening. I just got back myself. I brought scarves, man. I brought scarves. We also have, and we're joined as always by the one and only Dylan CALIGIURI. Dylan, make your presence known, sir.
Hello, Earth. Hello, Curt. Eugene, fantastic.
Oh man, always sounds like an alien when he says hello. Now, Curt is a multiple. I don't know. Curt's a multiple Grammy-winning singer. He's a songwriter. He's a producer and a guitarist who plays everything from country to soul to rock, hip hop, and of course R&B. And now, Curt, tell us what you've got there. What are you playing for us today?
Man, I got one of my favorite
Strats
Strats here that I love, that I got since I've been playing. And I got it in LA, and I had to bring it with me here to Nashville because I just love it. It's one of my favorite Strats. Yeah.
Can we hear it a bit?
Yeah.
Looks
man.
gorgeous.
Here we go. Check this thing out. This is the neck pickup.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Nice, clear, that watery, the kind of that really smooth thing going on there. Beautifully done, sir. And Dylan, what do you have gear-wise?
Yeah, I've got this Acoustasonic. It's a 3-tone sunburst. It's a gorgeous piece of gear here. Let's see, I'll play. That was a. So this guitar has a really cool pianoistic sound to it too. So you can do there's a lot of that fingerstyle stuff in R&B that'll come up too. It's awesome.
That's one of the many acoustic settings that comes on that guitar.
That's right. Yeah, this is a pretty hip instrument. So you get to hear more of it.
And I found this one hanging on the wall upstairs. This is of course the Jason Isbell telly that's popped up on the show. Sometimes in your hands, Dylan. Sometimes in mine.
Yeah.
Today, and I got it because I love the up here in the front. It's sort of a take on the twisted telly pickup. So it really sounds a lot more like a Strat middle pickup, but thrown on a telly. So that's why this model guitar is pretty unique to me. So here's the front pickup of this telly here. So it's got a little more mid-rock thing there than your typical front pickup on a Telecaster. Okay, and let's get to it, though. If you have questions about tonight's topic, drop them in the comments, and we'll get to them as we usually try to do. And you'll be hearing songs from the Fender Play site tonight, and you can check those out after the show. The links will be in the comments and the description. Now, Curt, we like to kick things off with some playing, so we're going to put you on the spot a little bit. Can you play us something that gives us the feel, that employs some proper R&B soul guitar?
Yeah, for sure, man. know.
All right.
I love to. I think I know. I think everybody does know. Let's back things up here, though, because this is the intro to R&B for a lot of people. So let's start from the very top with a simple yet complex question: what is R&B as a genre broadly?
Man, it's rhythm and blues, you know, and it probably definitely comes from the blues, you know, whether that's a lyrical thing or a feeling thing, and then it also comes from just the style of approaching music, you know. And then the rhythm part is just what it is. It's rhythm, you know. It's, you know, very, very rhythmically driven, you know, where things are just kind of like, you know, stuff like that, you know, and you know, just rhythm, you know.
Noticing how you're right, your strum hand was very, very steady and very, very consistent, and there wasn't a lot of complicated stuff going on the fret hand. So it was really about the rhythm of what you just played, and not so much about some sort of melodic story told. Now, what got you interested in playing R&B guitar?
Man, some of my mentors, you know, coming from Philadelphia, where I'm from, I heard a lot of great guitar players, and they played a lot of rhythm and blues. Like Jeff Lee Johnson, you know, he was around, you know, the whole Parliament crew and a lot of Philly soul music. And then Randy Bowman, he's a guitar player that played with a lot of artists, Gerald Levert and people like that in Philadelphia. And he just had
a TSOP situation.
A lot of unique playing. Yeah, he had a very, very tasteful player. And then Jonathan Du Bois, he's a church guy. So he did the whole gospel and like kind of like R&B sound of playing with a lot of like major 7 chords and like, you know, we call them like double stops or like rape off trills and stuff like that. So yeah,
you did a lot of those when we put you on the spot just a few minutes ago. I noticed. So that definitely, and it is to discuss R&B. It's impossible not to discuss gospel because that informs so much of the technique, the rhythms, the chord changes. So we're definitely going to get into the nuts and bolts there. We already have a question from Matt L. Who? Yeah, here it comes. Who were some notable or influential R&B guitarists to check out? Curt, who would you suggest if somebody wants to kind of get into this?
Yeah, man, definitely, man. There are a lot of guys. My little cousin actually is a great guitarist. His name is Jairus Mosey. And you can check him out, Jairus Mosey. There's another guy named Isaiah Sharkey. You can check him out also. I mean, those two, you could start there, and then from there, you'll probably find a lot of other guys that, you know, like the whole, you know, YouTube tag and everything, you'll find them.
They'll end up very, very related. Well, the thing is, on Fender Play, we just released an entire path dedicated to learning R&B and soul guitar, and you can learn songs by artists like Curtis Mayfield, Sam Cooke, Her, Erykah Badu, and tons more, including Earth, Wind, and Fire. Dylan, play some Earth, Wind, and Fire. Go. Don't even think. Just start playing. Earth, Wind, and Fire. Let's hear it.
Okay, but now if you were going to do the main guitar part, it'd be... which is killing.
Yeah.
Well done. I was hoping to hear you sing the Philip Bailey part, but oh, look, there goes Curt.
And that's the thing about a lot of R&B. You know, I don't know if I'm getting ahead, but a lot of the R&B approach to playing it is you're playing the betweens a lot. You know, where a lot of the synth is holding the body, and then the keyboards are like playing the chords and like the bedding of it. You know, whereas in other styles, where the guitar may be the bed of the chords. You know, playing stuff like. When R&B, you know, you're kind of the guy in the middle, just kind of, you know. You know, while the chords are just kind of laying and you're just moving and weaving in and out, you know.
Yeah, it's like you're popping in and out, very, very much so. I noticed that. It's kind of like just kind of like it's just notes are just showing up and then they disappear. That's very, very hip. Because I was going to ask you, you know, what role the guitar plays in these genres, but you just answered that, I think, really, really well. It's kind of
it's the in between. Just kind of like if you have a keyboard player and he's playing he's playing that, you know, the guitar would be like, you know.
Okay.
You know, all that kind of stuff, you know.
Okay. Perfect place to pick up that, because I want to talk about techniques, and I'm hearing it, I'm watching them, and I'm trying to catalog all the things you're doing. So what are some of the techniques that we need to know to get started R&B guitar?
Yeah, so great question.
Just doing.
So a lot of the techniques that I applied at first was, let's break it down and let's make it make sense. So if you're counting and the guitar and the keyboard lays it on that 4 chord on the 1, the guitar player would kind of just hit the and of the 4 and just kind of harmonize the chord with like these counterpuntal 2-note chords, you know. So if the keyboard is playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, I would come after the chord and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. You know, 4, 1. So 1, that would be the chord, and then you just follow them with, you know, and all I'm doing is harmonizing that mode, you know, harmonizing that D major 7, you know, by playing kind of a A major outline. You know?
And I noticed you started your phrase on the and you on the and of one, and then you ended it on the and, like, so it's like you're beginning and ending on the upbeat. So yeah, you're right. You're always answering something.
Yeah, you're that's a great way to put it, Eugene. You're answering a phrase, and because that's just what I learned. That's what I felt from listening to R&B records, and that's what seemed to make sense on stage. You know, the keyboard players would play those voicings, and they would fill up all this space. As a guitar player, you know, you just kind of find the space that's not there and just kind of help the rhythm move along. You know,
that's right. You know, and we have some people asking about R&B tone. I just want to let you all know I see you, and we're going to get to it. I promise. I promise. One of the thing I know that I hear a lot in R&B, especially classic stuff, but I still hear it in the new stuff too, is popcorn picking, which we do have in the path. It's a technique, and you know, one of the songs we have on the side is the Isley Brothers' "It's Your Thing." And that's a great example. It's all on the A string, basically, and we teach this lesson, but just as an example of, listen to just how some of the notes are pronounced and some of them aren't. Sort of like what Curt did there, where the notes are popping out.
Yeah.
And also notice that my strum hand was very, very consistent in rhythm there. So that's something you go to the site, check out that technique. Nice. You can apply that technique in a song, which is really, really great. And Curt, you mentioned double stops. Can you show us what those are and how they play out in R&B?
Yeah, for sure, man. Like I use a lot of it too. You know, if I'm just kind of playing, like I'll go back to the A minor thing. You know. You know. You know, if you're playing something like that, and here are your double stops. You know. You know, that kind of stuff, you know.
So we're hearing two notes at once.
Yeah, for sure.
You're playing two strings right next to each other and creating that harmony, you know, and popping them through. And then, like I said, you're usually outlining the chord shapes, or you're getting from one shape to the next, it seems, right?
Yep. Yep, very exactly.
Cool. One of the things I also hear a lot, what I think of is that octave thing. That, like we also have on the site, we have "I Want You Back" by Jackson 5. And in the intro, you know, this involves a lot of string muting, because we've seen Curt, we've seen you do a lot of string muting too, where you just kind of have this, and again, very steady rhythm. You know, you kind of letting some of them come through, some of them you're muting this. Then double stops. Right, so we have these classic songs. That's just in the first 8 bars. We hear all these techniques coming right through. It's like it really announces itself as classic soul and R&B happening. Dylan, what do you have in terms of what do you think in terms of techniques for this genre? What do you have?
Yeah, well, I mean, you guys covered a lot of it. It's one of the things you can do is sort of think about the guitar as like a drum set when you're playing R&B. So you can have you've got like the hi-hat going. And so you're thinking of like you've got bass lines, you got interplay within the guitar parts itself, which is why the guitar is such a unique instrument when you're approaching R&B, because it has all these capabilities. We can strum, try that drums, and we can do a lot of things really that no other instruments within that particular generalized live band format can do. And so they all get employed in R&B. And I know that there's probably a lot of people watching the show right now that are, for one, extremely overwhelmed with the fantastic ability of Curt's playing, because it sounds amazing.
We can't control that though.
I know. What are you going to do? It's a force. It's a force. But but don't be intimidated by this. On Fender Play and the R&B path, it's built out to work you up from absolute beginning player, if you need to be, right? If you're beginning, all the way into some of these different concepts that we're talking about, right? So this can be a stepwise motion deal, and this is available to anybody that wants it. So if you really enjoy this music and if you're really inspired by it, I urge you to give it a shot and don't be overwhelmed.
Well, here's a question that kind of leads into the next technique part of this. Jason O is asking, can we assume that R&B doesn't follow a 1-4-5 chord progression? What chord progression does it typically follow?
Great. That's great. Yeah. Coming from Philadelphia, I grew up around a lot of neo soul, and you're right, it doesn't really follow the whole 1-4-5 thing. It's a lot of major 7s and 11s. So one of the common chord progressions is something like they'll do something like a. And all those are just major 7s moving from the A down to a whole step, and then up. What is that? A minor third, and then another whole step up. Or another thing, common progression is like like minor 9s and 11s. So. Now, and like rock or like maybe blues on this A flat, they probably just play a minor chord to sound like this. So to go straight minor, but it's not as colorful as like that minor 11. You hear that?
Has that suspension there?
Yeah. You know what?
And Dylan, don't we have? I think we have an Alicia Keys song that features some of these chords on the site, right, Dylan?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's see. See if you can recognize it.
Right.
Now, these are actually just triads. This is the piano part up front. A lot of what Curt was playing was actually similar to this chord progression he was playing at the top, but it's got a major 7th chord.
Yeah.
Diminished chord.
Yeah.
There you go.
But the chords that we're talking about, if you guys are new to the topics of a 7th or a 9th chord, these are all basically notes that move past an octave, so they elongate the sound. They make it sound like it's a larger space. So you have basically a normal triad, right? Now, if we add a 9th, it makes it sound like the highest note is furthest or further away from the lower note. So here's the lower note. Now, or if we kind of illustrate that with you can hear notes that are basically they're spaced a lot further apart, right? And that's That's
bigger
what
intervals.
a larger
Yeah.
interval chord does. The 7th, 9th,
Colors.
11th,
Don't
13th.
forget, and then Curt mentioned, I think you mentioned ninth chords, and that's like, where would R&B and soul be without
Yeah.
that? Just right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And just holding a ninth chord and playing any rhythm.
Yeah. And great point, Eugene. I want to say to the listeners that are new to R&B, that's very, very important. What R&B does, it really substitutes what chords you would normally go for. So here's a valuable point for you.
Okay.
In a lot of music that's not R&B, you know, the one chord would just be a major chord. You know, or it may be like a major, like a 2 in it, like a, you know. But with R&B, most one chords may be like a major 7. So R&B is all about color, you know, like jazzy colors. It comes a lot. It stems a lot from jazz. So your 1 may be a major 7, you know, and then Dylan reminded me, your 5 chords a lot of times, and you know other music, it may just be like a 7.
You just hear the dominant.
Right.
Yeah.
But in R&B, a lot of times it's more of a sus chord, you know, it's just like kind of a bar down thing like this. We use that a lot in R&B, so it sounds like, you know,
all over
Donny Hathaway
So
used
this-
it. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
those 2 chords, you're already in the R&B world. Now, if you play them straight, it sounds like this. You know, not quite, but you know,
I love it.
you know, it's just
I love it. No, what a great demonstration going from the 1 to the 5 and back. But when you change the voicings of those 2 chords, it completely walks into a whole other genre.
For
You're in an
sure.
entirely
Yeah.
new room.
Yeah.
Brilliant stuff. No, when we were talking about this starting last week, you mentioned sticky riffs.
oh yeah.
What do you mean by sticky riffs?
Well, shameless plug. I'll play a song that I wrote. It was a song that I wrote with Miguel for Jaheim, and it was something that I was blessed to get nominated for a Grammy for. And it's just the R&B format with the major 7 chord like we were talking about, but it has like a melody inside of it. And to me, it's kind of sticky. It's riffy. You know what I mean? And it goes a little something like this. It's like a. You know? So those are the chord changes, but you can hear the riff inside the chords, and it's sticky to me that you know you'll kind of hear that, and it just sounds like a melody or a sticky kind of thing in the chords, as opposed to just playing. You know, I'm doing. You know, so
You really pronounce it. You really, really want to make that stick out,
yeah, as a melody, as like a theme. You know what I mean?
and then it sticks in the ear. There
Yeah,
go.
you
So
know.
sticky in 2 ways, I suppose.
Yeah.
One of the a song we have on the site, I think that's in Path is it's originally by Shuggie Otis, but I think we have the Brothers Johnson version of Strawberry
Yeah.
Letter
Yeah.
number 23. Dylan, can you just demo that kind of sticky riff that song has?
So yeah.
I think we hear on Glockenspiel, maybe I can't remember.
There's actually a lot of cool guitar stuff in there. There's some very kind of endemic
When it
gospel
moves in a different
or
key.
yeah. So that's a great song to learn. But on the site, it's in Path when you're in the R&B Path. So I think it's on level 5 actually. So enjoy that
So
one.
you'll get
That's-
there.
That's a really cool song.
Now, guys, I want a couple more questions, and then we got to let Curt go because he has a sound check to get to.
No.
And, and believe me,
man.
I know what it's like when you're late to a sound check. It's not fun. But Sean Brisbane on Facebook is asking, has R&B taken a lot of voicings from jazz?
For sure, 1000%. Jazz is all about extensions. You know, you never really hear a 1, 3, and a 5 chord in jazz. You know, you'll hear like a 1, a 3, and a 9, and then an 11, and then a 13. You know what I mean? Where
All in one chord.
yeah. So for
You
sure,
know?
just like I said earlier, you know, like in some styles you hear this C major, you know, and then some styles you hear like a 9. You know, like hear that 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You know. And then once you get into jazz or soul or R&B, it's like that might be your one chord. You hear that? And that's kind of like we call it a 6/9 chord in jazz. Yep. So that's your one, the root, and then a chord will be, you know,
On top of that.
you know, so it's all about extensions, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and it seems like it creates huge space for those melodies can go anywhere.
They
Like,
just
I was thinking
drop.
those Stevie Wonder melodies can go anywhere because that chord source is so open. Real quick, let's talk about tone before you have to bail.
Yeah.
You know, what are the important things to keep in mind to get proper R&B or soul tone on a guitar?
Well, my opinion, just from listening to so many records, like people like Curtis Mayfield and all them, you know, as contrary to like country tones and rock tones, where we got to kind of do that edge of breakup thing, where we put a little bit of drive on it. It doesn't really lend it to R&B as much, because a lot of those records, it's just we go for a cleaner thing, like a straight clean, you know, like a straight dry, something like this, something that's like, you know, that's not going to get too muddy when you play those voicings, because back to the voicings question, the more voicings you put in your chord, you know, if you got a bunch of drive and stuff on it, it's just going to make everything muddy. So cleaner's better, you know.
That is a great point. Great point
Yeah.
as to why we want a clean tone. Because is those extensions,
you can't
we want
hear
them
them.
all to ring out.
It'll get muddy, you know. And then you know, and with those voicings, especially with the rhythm thing, you know, it helps it to cut through like in the eye of a needle, you know. If you're playing chords, you want to have nothing on there so that thing can just cut right through the mix. And one point I want to make, you notice I didn't play that like. Sometimes you hear guitar players when they play rhythm, they play like every string. That when you do it that way, it competes with the bass, it competes with the keyboard player, you know. So you kind of want to like sometimes just play two notes or break your guitar up like Dylan said earlier, like it's two different, like this is the bass notes or the kick drum, and then the top is the hi-hat. So check this out. You know what I mean? Just kind of
you those lower notes also, it was like the kick drum.
Yeah, it just helps you to sit in the
on
mix
the one
better.
you're doing that.
Yeah,
that's really,
you know what I
really
mean?
thoughtful stuff.
Your engineer,
Very thoughtful.
your engineer will love you, you know, because you won't be clouding up the mix. Just you don't want to be that guy, you know.
And it seems like you know we've all been using single coils here this afternoon, this evening, and so like, what would it be like if you someone I can't remember what it was. Luis Hernandez was asking, well, what would this sound like on that bridge humbucker?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I used to use. I'm known for putting humbuckers in my neck, you know, but I started to love single coils for different reasons, you know. But yeah, I mean, if you play that same thing on the bridge, you know, it's cool. It's just a little chunkier, not chunky, but you know, like more James Brown.
Sure.
Yeah. What I like to use with the humbucker on the Strats is stuff like this, you know. You know, just kind of like parts like that that stick out. That's what I use it for, because it just kind of cuts through the mix, as opposed to like doing it with the neck pickup, you know.
Right. That's a great example. Thank you so much for knocking
man,
that one out of the park.
great.
Also, Stephanie says, thank you, Mr. Chambers. Your playing is so beautiful. I agree. Now, normally we keep Curt around until after the homework and the giveaway, but he has a sound check, so he has to run. So we're going to let him go a little early. But first, Curt, tell us what you're up to, where we can find your music, what you have going.
Oh, thank you, man. First of all, thanks for having me so much, Eugene and Dylan and Fender. I love you guys so much. I'm super honored and humbled and happy to be here. You can find me at CurtChambers.com. You can find me there. My Twitter is Curt the Rock Boy. My Instagram is Curt Chambers. So please hit me up. We're always working on new music, and I'm here in Nashville, going back and forth between Nashville and LA, and just recording a lot of music. So y'all hit me up online and let me know what you want to hear, and I'll see you soon. Music's everywhere too, by the way. Spotify, Apple Music, you know, go get all the music that you want to find. Download it, give it to your mama, give your uncles, your grandfathers, your your dogs.
Wherever music's available, Curt's there. Well, thank you so much, man, and we will definitely have you back, because I know there's a lot of different instruments, a lot of other genres, a lot of things that you've mastered over the years, and we'd love to pick your brain about some more. So thank you so much, and we're gonna hand it over to Dylan now, because he's gonna assign some homework. So thanks a lot, Curt.
Thank you, guys. See you soon.
You got it.
Yeah, what a treat.
Now,
Wow.
now Dylan, what a treat, right? We have so much, we've covered so much. Now it's time to give some people some things to do. So Dylan, take that away.
I love it. So as you guys heard, Curt's a fantastic guitar player, right? And all-around musician. And hopefully you're inspired by that. And hopefully you don't feel dejected or like this isn't something you can get. Check out the R&B path on Fender Play. This is built out piece by piece so that you can get started. If you're a beginner, your homework assignment this week is to check out the Love Roller Coaster. It's on level 1 in the R&B path. So that's right. So it's going to start you from soup to nuts, as they say. It's going to start you out how to build that riff piece by piece by piece, and I guarantee you'll be able to get through it by the end of the lesson. If you're intermediate, a lot of the stuff that Curt was working on was these hammer-ons that are sort of extensions of a chord, right? So like
okay,
go ahead.
So that's like an A minor 7 chord at the 5th
That's
fret.
right. That's right.
And then you're with your other fingers, you're kind of just grabbing other notes of the scale.
And it's so fast, it's almost hard to even tell what anybody's doing, right?
So we start slow.
That's right.
One string at a time. Get that pinky involved. That could be challenging. Also, here's a major pentatonic riff that we have on the side.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? So C major, and it kind of go. You can even throw it. Make some hammer-ons there. So My Girl on the side. So we can incorporate that. Once you learn a technique, you'll find a song in which to employ it, and that's when it really, really starts to take off.
Yeah.
Sorry. And what's for the advanced, man?
No. So that was intermediate. So it's a lesson that's on level 4 of the R&B path. Level 4 of the R&B path. It's pentatonics, hammer-ons, and pull-offs. And then for advanced,
it's level 5.
It's level 5. Final answer, level 5.
Blooper reel.
Blooper reel. For advanced though, I want you to take your favorite R&B melody and stylize it using octaves. So basically, using the octave shapes, right? That you can use Fender Play as a resource for. But if you're advanced, you already know the octave shapes. Take your favorite melody and stylize it using octaves. Does that make sense? So that's going to be a challenge. Uh-oh.
Right? What's going on?
See, Eugene's already getting started on his homework right now.
There you go. Okay. Yeah, good one.
Perfect.
I have to get started on that.
All right. So that's
So thank you so much. But that's the homework, and now you get to give stuff away, Dylan.
Oh, yes. This is one of the best parts of the show, right? So if you are a Fender Play subscriber, you're automatically entered to win the Fender Play giveaway, which we announce at the end of the show. And all you have to do is use Fender Play for a minimum of 21 minutes a week or 3 7-minute sessions, right? And you get to pick from guitars, amps, basses, all kinds of gear, right? And I might get to say your name at the end of the episode. Eugene, do you want to know who won this week?
I do. And on behalf of Curt, I was like, he wants to know too. He's going to come back on YouTube and watch this after the sound check. He wants to know what's going on. So yeah, are we going to what?
Give me some R&B fanfare. So let's see. It's Michael G. It's Michael G.
Way to go, Michael G. You won. All you had to do was enter, and you won. You did. You practiced. You did the 7 minutes. You did the thing, and now you get to enjoy your guitar, your bass, your amp. You can take anything in this room, I guess. I don't know. Whatever it is you choose,
whatever
enjoy
you want.
Way to go, buddy.
I'll come over and clean your house. Right. Whatever it's going to take. So here's the thing. We've talked about it a lot during this episode already, but honestly, the R&B path is slamming. Okay, there's basically the skills that you need to be able to play through the songs that we talked about in the episode are built out right before the song. So you walk into the song prepared for what's going to happen. So let me give you an example. So a song that's on the R&B path would be I Feel Good. So you might be saying, I don't know how to do any of that, right? I don't know what are we doing there? Or the horn part that's in that, all that stuff. It's built out piece by piece so that you can get through it and you feel confident working at it. It's the techniques that we talked about today. It's a lot of the songs that we talked about today. And if you're into this music, I think this is a great place to start.
May I add something to what you're
Please
putting
do,
down
Eugene.
there? Now,
Yes, thank you.
because also when you get to the song, and if you have the tone app, when I played "I Want You Back" by Jackson 5, I just downloaded that preset for my Mustang. So then when I get to that song, I'm not searching for tone. I just go. So when you get to that song level, we also have the tone taken care of as well. And like I'm always saying, look at what amp is chosen, what's the setting, is there a reverb on it, where do you set it, and that's how you learn how to get your own personal tone by just studying with the masters, such as Dylan before us, who makes some of these presets here. Same thing when I did the Isley Brothers. I used the preset for that song. So also don't forget the Fender app there for those parts there. So that's right. I'm sorry. And now it's time for the Fender Play update, Dylan.
Oh, that was it. So update that's
I'm sorry.
the big update, the big thing I wanted to announce. There's a ton of new songs on the site, of course, too. Trace Atkins. There's a bunch of new songs that are on there. However, I think the R&B path is worthy of its entirety of the Fender Play update.
It's a big one. It's a big genre. It has a rich history. We have classic artists. We have a lot of new artists on there. So it's a deep well of information. It's a doozy. All right. Well, I want to extend a huge thank you to Curt Chambers for coming by.
He was great.
He helped us get started. What a phenomenal player, but also I thought he did a sublime job of breaking things down to their fundamentals, and that's not always easy. And so until next week, I want everyone to keep safe, keep practicing, and we'll see you next week at the same time, the same channel. Let's go out on a nice R&B G chord, if you will, somehow. I don't know, ready? Or tap an R&B capital G in the comment section.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll see
do
you
an
next
R&B
week.
song.
1, 2, 3, 4.